Hello and a very good evening to all of you. I'm Sheetal, a verbal teacher here at Hitbullseye, and the topic that I will be discussing with you today is fill in the blanks or the fill-ups, or you can say complete the sentences. So yes, it was a very important question type that we saw in the verbal section or the language paper of CUET exam. So often students feel that, doing the grammar is really difficult. Though we've been doing it for ages now, still somehow we do mess up with the grammar questions or the fill in the blanks question. But today I am going to show you certain examples with which I will be explaining to you what kind of grammar topics you should cover up in order to deal with these questions. So it's not difficult at all. Neither am I asking you to delve deep into the grammar books, the bulky ones. All I'm asking you to do is to do the smart study. Look at the question types, write down the areas from which mostly you get the error in the sentences or the fill in the blanks question, and then do prioritize what all topics do you need to do, strategize, and then you'll definitely be able to score well. So without any further ado, let's get into the video and start the session. Now, first of all, we need to understand the first question. If you look at, first of all, before starting the question itself, I would like to discuss certain things with you which are required, certain skills that are required to deal with fill in the blanks question. The first thing is you're able to comprehend the given sentence. Your comprehension is well enough, your understanding of English language is well enough to look at the sentence and identify what kind of structure this is, what kind of thing is being discussed here, what is the meaning of this. So what is the story behind it? One, comprehending the language. Second is your ability to know the grammar rules. Is it grammatically correct? Right? So again, coming under the same topic of the structure. Third thing is your ability to understand words. So a good vocabulary is an essential part to deal with these questions. You are able to understand words because at the first level you guess the grammatic structure of the sentence and you decide, okay, in this particular blank there should be an adjective or there is a verb missing here, the connecting word, a conjunction is missing here, a preposition is missing here. So this knowledge of the grammatical part, what grammatical unit should come in that blank, first thing is this, you should be aware of it. Second is your knowledge of the words. Let's say you get certain words in the options. For example, here you can see the words. It's a combination of words as well as your knowledge of grammar. Are you able to decide contextually which word will suit here? Do you know the meaning of all the words? Well, even if you do not know, there are ways to eliminate the wrong option and reach to the right one. So that is all we are going to explore today. So if you talk about the skills, these are the major skills you should have. Third is you're able to eliminate the option and it works really well. So keeping in mind all these skills and tricks, let's start with questions now. The first question is, this physics laboratory is dash with all the sophisticated dash but also with the most of the recent publication. So what is this particular sentence saying? Take your time, try to answer this one, and then let's see who's going to answer this one correctly. Okay, so you want to know that what are the topics that you need to cover in grammar? If I start with, first is RC, reading comprehension. You are able to approach a given passage and answer certain question based on it. Last year CUET exam, you did not get really tough questions from this, but I believe because it was the first time, this time it will be a level higher than that, won't be that difficult. It would be on the basis of your 12th standard only, the level of the 12th standard. So first is comprehension, then you can get certain questions based on grammar. One is fill in the blank, and second is find the part which has an error, in which a sentence will be given to you broken into pieces, let's say 3 or 4 pieces, A, B, C and D. You have to identify which part has an error. It can be a grammatical error, it can be based on spelling also. Coming to the spelling, third type of question you can get are vocabulary question, and you had plenty in your exam. So in vocabulary question, You can get questions based on antonyms, opposite meaning words, synonyms, similar meaning words from the option. In the fill in the blanks also, you need to know the meaning of the word to fit in the right word. Idioms and phrases, one word substitution. So for example, if I say someone who loves books, someone who loves to read books, you would call the person a bibliophile. So this was one word substitution, right? Then you had questions of sentence rearrangement or parajumbles, in which 3 to 4 sentences were given to you in a jumbled way, making no sense. You had to read the sentences, identify the story behind it, what is the author talking about, and then arrange them in a proper order to make a meaningful paragraph out of it. Then you had questions based on literary devices or figures of speech. And I have also made many videos on figures of speech. You can go and refer to those. I've almost touched upon all the topics that you can get in your CUET exam with ample examples. So yes, there are certain 10 to 12 common figures of speech like simile, metaphor, metonymy, alliteration, personification, and many more. You can go and see all those videos. It will be helpful. So these are the basic types from which you can get the questions. So if you want to do a good preparation of it, you may refer to the videos. Okay, I can see that Twisha has already answered it. Wonderful. Let's see it. So Trisha is saying that this one should be the answer. What about the rest of you? So yes, Trisha, you are absolutely right. It's very impressive. You answered it in the first attempt. Here, the key word that you need to see. This is also a skill. When you are dealing the fill in the blanks question, look for the keywords. The keywords will tell you, is it a thought extender or a thought reverser? कि सेंटेंस में जो कीवर्ड्स दिए हैं वो आपको बताएंगे कि फर्दर उसी सेम आइडिया को एक्सप्लेन किया है या थॉट को रिवर्स कर दिया है, ऑपोजिट कर दिया है. सो यहाँ पे यू कैन सी दिस फिजिक्स लेबोरेटरी, यू गेट दिस वर्ड बट ऑल्सो. सो व्हाट इज दिस बट ऑल्सो फ्रॉम द ग्रामेटिक पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू? इट्स अ कंजंक्शन. तो नॉट ओनली के साथ हमेशा बट ऑल्सो का पैर होता है. So it's a conjunction. So obviously, अब यहाँ पर not only is missing, so we need to put it here, and A is the only option which has it. So this physics laboratory is not only equipped with all the sophisticated instruments. अब एक laboratory किस चीज से equipped होगी? Instruments से equipped होगी. Now this is a basic understanding. But also with most of the recent publication, ना सिर्फ यहाँ पर instruments हैं, but recent publications भी है. तो ये laboratory fully equipped है, instruments से भी और publication से भी. I hope this one is clear. Let's move on to the next question. तो यहाँ से हमें क्या पता चला? Fill in the blanks can be based on conjunction. What we usually think is conjunction are and, only, but, or the word or, right? But there are many more like neither, nor, either, or, not only, but also, although, if. If can also be a conjunction. So there can be different conjunction. Any word that is joining two subject, two words, two clauses, phrases, or two sentences is known as a conjunction. So your basic knowledge of conjunction should be updated. Now for example, today we are going to do these 9-10 questions. Write down the areas from which you are finding the fill in the blanks here and quickly brush up its knowledge. That's it. So try to learn certain conjunctions and their use. So done with this one, let's move on to the next question. No other library in town dash so many books belonging to different disciplines as this library. So should it be no other library in town has? No other library in town having or have or possesses or none of these. Let's see who is going to answer this one. Yes, Twisha, Dank, what do you think? Drop in your answers quickly. Okay, look at this one now. No other library. So what is library? Now this is known as subject and verb agreement. Subject and verb agreement. This is another part of grammar which is very important for fill in the blanks question. Your number of subject and the number of verb should be similar. अगर आपका subject singular है तो verb भी singular होगा. Subject अगर plural है तो verb भी plural होगा. Now verbs are of two types. एक होती है helping verbs like is, am, are, has, have, would have, will have, and was, were, had. So all these words. These are known as helping verbs. And then there are main verbs like running, swimming, jumping, dancing, any other word. So here you can see that some helping verbs are given and one main verb is given. What do you think the right answer should be? Having you can directly eliminate because with having there should be either is, am or are. और यहाँ पर तीनों में से कुछ भी नहीं है. No other library in town having so many. Either it should have been is having. And anyways, this sentence doesn't make sense. Is having. So we Indians have this tendency of, using the continuous tense with everything. Try to avoid it. This is a very common mistake we make in English. So यहाँ पे having नहीं होगा क्योंकि ऐसा नहीं है कि present tense में है कि library जो है वो equipped है या equipped हो रही है. Rather, it's in a normal sense, in present sense, कि हाँ equipped है library with a lot of instruments and latest books. So no other library in town, so many books belonging to different disciplines as this library. It should be has. तो ये जो है ये एक singular subject है. Singular subject के साथ and third person plural के साथ हम use करते हैं has helping verb. I के साथ और plural subjects के साथ हम use करते हैं have. So another topic that you need to look for. यहाँ से आपको दो चीजें पता चली. Subject और verb के agreement का knowledge होना बहुत जरूरी है. This is the first thing you should see. जब भी आप fill in the blanks देखें या find the part which has an error, first thing you have to see is where is the subject of this sentence? Where is the verb? Are they both singular or are they both plural? If they are not, you have to change it to make them same unless until the sense of the sentence is changed. This is the first thing. Second thing is use of has and have. We mess up a lot with the use of has and have. Simply Google or refer to your grammar books to see has कहाँ पर use होता है, have कहाँ पर use होता है. Answer should be A. Yes, Tuisha, absolutely right again. तो library जो है वो possess नहीं करती, rather living things possess certain things. Library is a non-living thing. Moving on to the next question. Now this question again tests another topic of our grammar. If he dash prepared his lecture well in advance, it dash the best lecture in the entire conference. Should it be would have been, would or must be, had or would have been, should have or would have, or none of these? Let's see who's going to answer this one. Be a little quick this time. Quickly drop in the answer for this one. Yes, what do you think the answer should be to this one? What is it testing in this particular question? If he dash prepared his lecture well in advance, it dash the best lecture in the entire conference. चलो let's simply translate into हिंदी कि अगर उसने ये लेक्चर अच्छे से प्रिपेयर किया होता, वेल इन एडवांस प्रिपेयर किया होता, तो ये बेस्ट लेक्चर होता पूरे कॉन्फ्रेंस में. So as such, okay, I am getting some responses. One is C. Right, absolutely right. C is the right answer. Very good, Savannah, and Varsha is saying B. Okay, now look at this. इन्हें बोलते हैं conditionals. What do you understand by the word conditionals? हम बहुत confuse होते हैं conditionals के topic में, जबकि हमने सबने स्कूल में किया है conditional. कंडीशनल आर द सेंटेंसेज विद स्टार्ट विद इफ. तो सेंटेंस के स्टार्टिंग में ही एक कंडीशन लगा दी जाती है कि अगर उसने एडवांस में प्रिपेयर किया होता तो ये लेक्चर उसका बेस्ट लेक्चर होता पूरे कॉन्फ्रेंस में. तो कंडीशनल्स के कुछ रूल्स होते हैं, कुछ टाइप्स होती हैं. वन ऑफ द टाइप इज दिस. ये पैर बनता है कंडीशनल में. कॉमा से पहले अगर हैड आया है तो आफ्टर दैट इट विल बी वुड हैव. इफ ही हैड प्रिपेयर्ड, अगर उसने प्रिपेयर किया होता, it's a past tense. If he had prepared his lecture well in advance, it would have been. Would have is future tense. तो उसका लेक्चर सबसे अच्छा तभी हुआ होता अगर उसने एडवांस में प्रिपेयर किया होता. Right answer should be this one. Had and would have. Now this is a conditional. अगर एक सेंटेंस शुरू होता है if से, followed by had and verb's third form, after the comma you will have to had would have been. ये पहला रूल है कंडीशनल का. नाउ दिस इज योर होमवर्क. देयर आर 2 more rules for conditional. Try to search them, write them down and use them in sentences. Or probably I'll take up it in other question. I hope this one is clear, Varsha. There is great unevenness in his later plays. There are moments of greatest dash in the midst of great dash. Now, if you look at this question, it's a little bit tricky. Right? Yes, Twisha, again, you were right for the last question. अब ऐसे क्वेश्चन में जहाँ vocabulary के words इतने difficult हों ऑप्शन में, what can we do? Aren't we smart beings? Yes, we are. We will understand the context of the sentence and take clues from it. अब सेंटेंस की स्टार्टिंग में क्या दिया है? देयर इज ग्रेट अनइवननेस. अनइवननेस है, इनकॉन्ग्रुटी है, सिमिलैरिटी नहीं है, होमोजेनस नहीं है. क्या? उसके लेटर प्लेस. अब हमें 2 ऐसे वर्ड चूज करने हैं जो दोनों ऑपोजिट हों, क्योंकि हमें प्रूव करना है कि उसके प्लेस जो है वो अनइवन थे, सिमिलैरिटी नहीं थी, होमोजेनस नहीं थे, कॉन्ग्रुअस नहीं थे. राइट? सो अब हमें बताना है देयर आर मोमेंट्स ऑफ द ग्रेटेस्ट डैश इन द मिडस्ट ऑफ ग्रेट डैश. जो इस ब्लैंक में वर्ड आएगा और जो इस ब्लैंक में वर्ड आएगा, दे शुड बी एंटोनिम और एटलीस्ट ऑपोजिट ऑफ ईच अदर इन सम सेंस. तो वो सिमिलर मीनिंग वर्ड्स नहीं हो सकते. सिर्फ इस चीज के बेसिस पे लेट्स ट्राई टू एलिमिनेट द ऑप्शन. इफ यू लुक एट द फर्स्ट वन, एनलाइटनमेंट तो सबको पता है, आई बिलीव. ल्यूसिडिटी इज क्लैरिटी. तो ये तो दोनों ही पॉजिटिव कॉनिटेशन वाले वर्ड हुए. Enlightenment is when you get aware of certain learnings, when you gain knowledge about something. Lucidity is clarity of something, some concept. तो ये तो दोनों ही positive connotation की बात हुई, but हमें तो opposite meaning चाहिए. So we can eliminate this option. Frivolity, triteness. Frivolity is silliness, trivial, तुच्छ जिसे हम कहते हैं. So triteness is something which is very boring, ordinary, which is not very interesting, or it has now ceased to be interesting. तो ये दोनों ही negative connotation के word हुए. Look at this. Even if you do not know the exact meaning, you can guess कि वो उनकी connotation positive है या negative है. अब ये तो दोनों ही negative हुए. Look at this. There are moments of greatest frivolity in the midst of great triteness, but similar meaning words. So this can also be eliminated. Now, looking at the last one, obscurity and ambivalence. Obscure, something which is not clear, unclear. Ambivalence is again which has multiple interpretations, and that is why it is also unclear. It also perplexes our mind. तो ये भी दोनों negative connotations के word हुए. Kind of similar meaning. So we are only left with one option, that is insight and banality. Banal means boring, dull, or not interesting. Insight is where there is depth, knowledge, some weightage to the idea. So what they are saying is कि इतने banal works में भी, उसकी great banality में भी कुछ insightful moments थे उसके plays में. और यही reason है कि उसके plays इतने uneven थे कि इतने banal होने के बावजूद भी there were certain insightful moments also in the plays. Is it clear, everyone, why the answer is the second one? चलो, with this you now know how important words are. तो एक तीसरी चीज जो हमने अब यहाँ पे सीखी fill in the blanks में, वो ये है कि if you do not know the meaning of the words, you can go with the connotations and you can take hint from the context. कि context में बहुत clues दिए होते हैं, keywords दिए होते हैं कि thought को extend किया जा रहा है या reverse. अब यहाँ पे reverse कर दिया था कि greatest banality में, boringness में, dullness में भी हमें कुछ enlightening या फिर insightful moments देखने को मिले उसके play में, and that is the reason they were uneven. Moving on to the next question, let's have a look at this one. The assumption that chlorofluorocarbons would be dash in the environment because is a keyword students, because एक thought extender है. जो बात अभी तक speaker ने कही है, अब वो इसको explain करेगा. So further explanation मतलब similar kind of adjectives will be used. तो अब यहाँ पे क्या आना चाहिए, उसका hint हमें because के बाद मिल जाएगा, because the examiner himself is explaining us. Because they were chemically inert. Inert is inactive. Was challenged by the demonstration of a potential threat to the ozone layer. So what do you think the meaning should be? Let's read it again together. And until then, you drop in your answers in the chat box. The assumption that chlorofluorocarbons would be dash in the environment because they were chemically inert was challenged. तो ये assumption challenge किया गया. कौन सा assumption? कि क्लोरोफ्लोरोकार्बन जो हैं वो inactive होते हैं environment में. इस चीज को challenge किया गया by the demonstration of potential threat to the ozone layer, by showing कि how threatful it can be to the ozone layer. This idea that chlorofluorocarbons are inactive was challenged. तो it's very simple. अब हमें एक word ढूंढना है जो inert के या inactive के बहुत close हो meaning में. So, whatever word is opposite of inert or inactive should be eliminated, negated. First one is deleterious. Deleterious means harmful. बाद में ये चीज चैलेंज की गई है कि एक्चुअली क्लोरोफ्लोरोकार्बन ओजोन डिप्लीशन के लिए बहुत हार्मफुल है या ओजोन लेयर के लिए बहुत हार्मफुल है. बट कॉमा से पहले तो द थॉट वाज डिफरेंट. तो इस पूरे सेंटेंस में एक थॉट रिवर्सर है और एक हिंट भी है. इनर्ट हमें बता रहा है कि इनर्ट जैसा ही वर्ड यहाँ पे आना चाहिए और कॉमा के बाद थॉट रिवर्स हो गया है, थॉट चैलेंज हो गया है. सो डेलीट्रस कैन बी एलिमिनेटेड क्योंकि इसका मतलब होता है हार्मफुल, पर हमें तो इनएक्टिव के क्लोज मीनिंग देखना है. परसिस्टेंट इज बीइंग कंसिस्टेंट विद समथिंग डजंट मेक सेंस, ये कॉन्टेक्स्ट में फिट ही नहीं हो रहा. नॉक्शियस इज अगेन हार्मफुल, सो दिस कैन आल्सो बी एलिमिनेटेड. तो क्या ऑप्शन बचा? इनॉक्यूअस. Innocuous is something that is believed to be not harmful. So this is the right answer. तो जो ये बात कही गई थी, जो assumption लिया गया था कि क्लोरोफ्लोरोकार्बन जो है they can be innocuous in the environment, कि वो harmful नहीं होते environment के लिए, was actually challenged later on. I hope this one is also clear. How to take hints from the question itself, act smartly, eliminate the option that cannot be the answer at all, and choose the right answer. Okay, the sixth question. Although a few years ago the fundamentals, keyword student again, ये देखो सेंटेंस की शुरुआत ही although से हुई है, इसका मतलब थॉट को रिवर्स किया जाएगा after the comma. Although a few years ago the fundamental facts about the Milky Way seemed fairly well dash, Now, अब यहाँ से thought is reversed कि पहले हमें क्या लग रहा था कुछ साल से कि मिल्की वे गैलेक्सी जो है fairly well, let's say कि हमने उसको समझ लिया था अच्छे से. Now, even its mass and its radius have come into dash. यहाँ पर जो दो word use होंगे वो contradictory होंगे एक दूसरे से, क्योंकि contradictory word यहाँ पर दिया हुआ है although. शुरुआत ही contradictory word से हुई है, so after the comma the thought will be reversed. So again वो सभी ऑप्शन हम एलिमिनेट कर देंगे या निगेट कर देंगे जिसमें दोनों ऑप्शन सिमिलर मीनिंग है, या तो दोनों की पॉजिटिव कॉनोटेशन है या दोनों की नेगेटिव कॉनोटेशन है. लेट्स सी. डिटर्मिन्ड एंड रेजोल्यूशन आर क्वाइट सिमिलर टू ईच अदर. आप किसी चीज को लेकर डिटर्मिन्ड है, स्टीडफास्ट है. आप रेजोल्यूशन लेते हैं जब किसी चीज का, अगेन आप बहुत डिटर्मिन्ड होते हैं उस चीज को लेकर, एंड यू वर्क रियली हार्ड टुवर्ड्स अचीविंग इट. So these are kind of similar meaning words. This can be eliminated. So you are left with 3 options. Let's see if you will be able to answer or not. Drop in your answers, Savannah, Ishika and Twisha. Okay, we have Twisha's answer, which is C. Chalo, let's see this one. Problematic and prominence. Let's try to fit these. Although a few years ago, the fundamental facts about the Milky Way seemed fairly well problematic, now even its mass and its radius have come into prominence. क्या वो पहले prominence में नहीं थे? We were already trying to, know more about it, research more about it. So ये दोनों actually एक दूसरे के opposite नहीं हैं, but हमें तो एक sorry हमें एक ऐसा ऑप्शन देखना है जो एक दूसरे के कॉन्ट्राडिक्टरी वर्ड्स हों, but these words are not contradictory to each other. Established and questioned, ignored and danger. So if we fit this one, although a few years ago the fundamental facts about the Milky Way seemed fairly well ignored, now even its mass and its radius have come into danger. Is that contextually right? Can we say कि Milky Way galaxy का mass और radius danger में आ गया है? Does it make any sense contextually? No, it does not. So we are left with this question. कि भले ही कुछ साल पहले हमें लगा कि हमने फंडामेंटल फैक्ट्स जो हैं मिल्की वे गैलेक्सी के हम वो इस्टेब्लिश कर चुके हैं, हमें उसके बारे में सारे फंडामेंटल फैक्ट्स पता हैं. Now even its mass and its radius have come into question. But अब हम इतने unsure हैं इस चीज़ के बारे में, हमें अभी और इतना एक्सपेरिमेंट करना है इसके बारे में कि इतनी सिंपल चीज़ जैसे कि मिल्की वे गैलेक्सी का मास क्या है या उसका रेडियस क्या है, वो चीज़ भी क्वेश्चन में आ गई है. So these are quite opposite. Established is well known, questioned is which still have to make its way, still has to be established. I hope this one is clear. Wonderful. Yes, Savannah, Ishika, your answer was absolutely right. Keep it up. Let's see this one now. The new biological psychiatry does not deny the contributing role of psychological factors in the mental illness, but posits that these factors may act as a catalyst on existing physiological conditions and dash such illnesses. Quite a lengthy sentence. Take your time, read it again. Understand what is the speaker saying in this sentence. Catalyst क्या होता है? Anything that increases or increases the speed of a process. So the new biological psychiatry, जो new biological psychiatry है, ये जो stream है, ये जो branch of study है, does not deny, ये नहीं बोलती कि psychological factors जो हैं मेंटल इलनेस में कोई रोल ही प्ले नहीं करते. सो देयर आर 2 एस्पेक्ट. या तो हम कहें कि मेंटल इलनेस इज कम्प्लीटली रिलेटेड टू आवर फिजियोलॉजी एंड बायोलॉजी, इसमें साइकोलॉजी का कुछ लेना देना नहीं है. तो जो बायोलॉजिकल साइकाइट्री है ये नहीं बोलती कि हम पूरी तरह से डिनाई करते हैं कि साइकोलॉजिकल फैक्टर्स अफेक्ट ही नहीं करते मेंटल इलनेस को, बट posits that these factors may act as a catalyst. हाँ, ये फैक्टर्स जो हैं एक कैटलिस्ट का काम कर सकते हैं. मेंटल इलनेस को और ग्रेव बनाने में ये एक कैटलिस्ट हो सकते हैं, इंक्रीज कर सकते हैं इस प्रोसेस को. ऑन एग्जिस्टिंग फिजियोलॉजिकल कंडीशन, देखो फिजियोलॉजिकल इज related to the body, all the tangible things, understandable things. Psychology is almost all vague. It is all that you have to imagine. You cannot see it, you cannot touch it. तो वो पूरा conceptual है, psychological है. So physiological conditions and dash such illnesses. तो यहाँ पर again एक hint word है. And क्या होता है students? And एक conjunction होता है. और एक ऐसा कंजंक्शन है ये जो थॉट को एक्सटेंड करता है. तो मतलब इससे पहले जो बात कही है, लेट्स लुक फॉर द एडजेक्टिव एंड द वर्ड्स एंड द वर्ब्स यूज्ड हियर. सिमिलर वी हैव टू यूज हियर आल्सो. तो ये जो कैटलिस्ट है, जो प्रोसेस को फास्ट करने का काम करता है, इसी तरह का वर्ड हमें यहाँ पे यूज करना है. लेट्स सी हु इज गोइंग टू आंसर दिस नाउ. Yes, wonderful, Ishika, Savannah, wonderful. Yes, absolutely. Precipitate is to make something happen more quickly. Catalyst भी तो यही करता है. तो हमें फिर से hint मिला thought extender टेक्निक से, क्योंकि यहाँ पर and लगा था. We worked smart. हमने देखा इससे पहले जो बात कही गई है, similar thing should be mentioned here also. Disguise is when you hide yourself in particular attire or you do not show your real face. And impede is to hinder, to come in way of something. किसी चीज के किसी प्रोसेस के बीच में आ जाना, उसको रोक देना, उसकी ग्रोथ को हिंडर करना. ये तो क्वाइट ऑपोजिट है, ये तो यहाँ पे आ ही नहीं सकता. कैटलिस्ट का तो बिल्कुल ऑपोजिट है. कैटलिस्ट हमेशा प्रोसेस को फास्ट करता है, इम्पीड करना होता है उस चीज को, हिंडर करना, उसको रोकना. सो दिस कैन नॉट ऑल्सो बी द आंसर. कंस्ट्रेन भी इम्पीड जैसा ही है, दे आर सिनोनिम्स. सो व्हाट आर वी लेफ्ट विद? We are left with precipitate, which means to make something happen more quickly and rapidly. Let's see the 8th question now. Because it arrives so early in the season, before many other birds, the robin has been called the dash of spring. तो ये जो bird है robin, क्योंकि ये बाकी सभी bird से पहले arrive करता है या आता है, तो हम इसे spring का क्या कहेंगे? बताइए. You must have heard of this. Drop in your answers, Ishika, Savannah, Twisha. Got confused about this one? Let's do it without looking into the dictionaries or without going for the Google meaning of the words. तो अगर मैं कहूँ hostage, hostage होता है जिसे हम बोलते हैं बंधी. ये बर्ड तो बाकी बर्ड से बहुत पहले आता है, रॉबिन स्प्रिंग से पहले, और हमें सबसे पहले बाकी सभी वर्ड से कंपैरिजन में रॉबिन देखने को मिलता है. तो क्या हम बोल सकते हैं कि वो एक हॉस्टेज है? इज इट इन सम काइंड ऑफ बॉन्डेज? इट इज सीज्ड बाय समथिंग? नो, इट्स नॉट, रादर इट्स वेरी फ्री. Isn't that the reason it comes so early? तो hostage तो बिल्कुल नहीं होगा. Compass, compass shows you a direction. Can a bird be a compass to show the direction? No, it cannot be. Compass is an instrument. Bird is not an instrument. Wonderful. Yes, Ishika and Savannah, it is harbinger. So harbinger, you can say, is something that foreshadows or foretells the coming of something. जैसे कि spring. तो स्प्रिंग के आने की हमें एक झलक दे देता है रॉबिन. सो व्हेन रॉबिन स्टार्ट कमिंग वी कैन से कि यस, इट्स द हार्बिंजर ऑफ द स्प्रिंग, राइट? We must try to understand his momentary dash, for he has dash more strain and anxiety than any among us. हमें उसकी कौन सी स्टेट समझनी चाहिए जो उसने गेन की है या एक्वायर की है बिकॉज ऑफ अ लॉट ऑफ स्ट्रेन एंड एंग्जाइटी. हम में से सबसे ज्यादा स्ट्रेन और एंग्जाइटी लेट्स से दिस पर्सन हैज एक्सपीरियंस्ड. तो ऑब्वियसली यहाँ पे एक नेगेटिव कॉनोटेशन वाला वर्ड आएगा. एंग्जाइटी और स्ट्रेन आपको कोई अच्छी फीलिंग तो नहीं देंगे, राइट? इट वॉन्ट मेक यू फील द प्लेजरेबल. सो देयर शुड बी अ नेगेटिव वर्ड हियर. तो विजन नहीं हो सकता. We can eliminate this one. Let's see these 3 options. Come on now. Drop in your answers without looking for the meanings. This is just a practice. If we look at all the words, the first one is outcry. So outcry is a roar or a cry for something. Described. So can we say we must try to understand his momentary outcry, for he has described more strain and anxiety than any among us. So it won't make sense just because at the top of his tongue, or let's say at the top of everything else, he is the one who's been crying about things and telling or talking about his anxiety. That is the reason we should understand his momentary outcry. No, this won't make any sense. Senility and understood. What should it be the answer? Now you're only left with 2. Let's see who's going to answer this one. Okay, we have a response which is aberration and undergone, which is absolutely right. So senility is bodily and mental illness. तो क्योंकि हमें उसकी bodily mental illness को समझना चाहिए, because he has understood more strain and anxiety than any among us. See, we need to understand one thing. अब जब हम इन दो ऑप्शन के साथ हैं तो हमें ये समझना होगा कि if a person he is saying something or behaving in a particular way, वो ज़्यादा ऑथेंटिक होगा जब उसने उस चीज़ को समझा है या उस चीज़ को एक्सपीरियंस किया है खुद पे. So he has undergone through strain and anxiety. That is the reason we should understand his aberration. Aberration is abnormality. So that person is not mentally healthy or fit or normal. His thoughts are disoriented. His behavior is disoriented. और उसका रीजन ये है क्योंकि वो he has already undergone a lot of strain and anxiety more than any among us. So let's see the last one. The document which required the king to accept that he was bound by law in the same way as his subject is described as the first dash on the ladder to freedom and a dash of liberty. Now I know this is a little bit difficult for you because this is the last question. I believe it's justified. We increase the difficulty level. Okay, if we start by elimination method, can you say death knell of liberty? These words are quite opposite of each other, doesn't go well together. So death knell to nahi bolenge. So should it be step and early stage? Described as the first step on the ladder to the freedom. And look at this now. This particular article is A. A के साथ E नहीं आएगा. E is a vowel sound. या तो यहाँ पर an होना चाहिए था. Look at this. It was so easy to eliminate this option. क्योंकि A के बाद early नहीं आ सकता. So done with this one, done with this one. Structure and support. His subject is described as the first structure on the ladder of freedom and a support of liberty. So how can we say structure on the ladder of freedom? The meaning is distorted. It doesn't clear anything. So answer should be a rung and talisman. Talisman is when you associate certain magical power with an object. जब आप किसी भी एक ऑब्जेक्ट से, लेट्स से जो भी आप तावीज़ पहनते हैं या आपके पास कोई भी ऑब्जेक्ट होता है एंड यू बिलीव देयर इज सम मिस्टिकल मैजिकल पावर इन इट, उसे हम कहते हैं talisman. So we should, the right answer should be the document which required the king to accept that he was bound by law in the same way as his subjects is described as the first rung on the ladder to freedom and the talisman of liberty. कि आज़ादी का एक चिन्ह था, वो एक object था. It signified the freedom and the liberty. So I hope it's clear. That's all for today. These were some questions of fill in the blanks. Similarly, you can also practice certain questions and make your handwritten notes of which all areas are the most important ones and you should definitely do. So if you want more such awesome content, if you have any suggestions, write down in the chat box. And if you want to be updated with more such questions of the language paper, stay tuned to our channel. Thank you, keep smiling and keep shining.